Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and a VPN company just got raided by the cops. Now, not just, it's a little over a week to be honest, but I wanted to let the story ferment a little bit because I wanted to get all the details so I'd only have to make one video, not like 10 follow-ups, okay? Now, how do you find out your VPN company that you buy, all right, the service you buy is good enough? When they get raided by the cops and the cops get nothing. So, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Movad, which is something I showed you a while back, not too long ago, said the National Operations Department of the Swedish police has visited Movad VPN with a search warrant with the intention to seize computers with customer data. No customer data was compromised. So, of course, according to these individuals, they basically showcased a policy where customer data did not exist. We argued they had no reason to expect to find what they were looking for, and any seizures would therefore be illegal under Swedish law. After demonstrating that this is indeed how our service works and them consulting the prosecutor, they left without taking anything. So yeah, Movad VPN is a VPN service that's been operating for 14 years, and they are the most heavy when it comes to privacy. I know that there's a lot of sponsorships on YouTube you'll find from VPN companies, because usually they're the most consistent, they pay a lot, and in general, I would like to say most VPN services are good enough. Now, when we get a sponsor read for VPN services, I've talked to other tech YouTubers about it, other privacy-focused YouTubers, and generally, the questions we ask any VPN company coming to us is, are you under, jurisdiction? Are you under surveillance? Are you required to give up data? And how do you preserve your data? Generally, we go with the best graces that a VPN company offers us. If they tell us something, we tend to really, ask them every question we grill. And if we're satisfied with the questions, we'll go forward with sponsorships. But regardless of whatever sponsorships I have, if I break them today by saying that Movad VPN is the best service out there when it comes to actually focused on your privacy, then I'm willing to burn a few bridges. Let's be honest here. Movad VPN is one service that exists where you can basically go over there and to show you how privacy focused they are. And I got to remember to block out my city from here because they're trying to tell me not using Movad VPN. Here's your location, buddy. Now, making a new account on Movad is about the easiest thing one could imagine. By going to account, you basically do not have any password or username from what I understand. You basically create a new account, you generate an account number, so they've literally made a fresh account for me. It's the only identifier I have, and it's effectively over here, you can use cryptocurrencies like Monero, which are privacy focused, to add money in. All right, so basically €5 a month is basically their going rate, and once you have access to it, you get like 5 user accounts to work with, 5 devices, and that's pretty much the gist of it, okay? So they are, even purchasing service on Movad VPN pretty much relies on you going the privacy-focused route. You could literally mail them cash anonymously if you wanted, just to get access to the service. They literally give every option available, okay? I'm pretty sure you can barter with like beaver pelts if you wanted to. Now, of course, the question has always been, how secure are they? Oh boy, if the glowies get access and raid them, will they get anything? Apparently, the Swedish police did not get a single byte of data because the methods that Movad VPN used were quite ingenious. So what are the policies of a company like Movad, for instance, okay? For instance, right over here, they operate out of Sweden. And of course, they talk about the Covert Surveillance of Data Act, where they literally read out the actual act for you. They tell you exactly everything about it, the various scopes into it, and of course, how they actually get by. So there's a lot of collect user data in India and other countries. Does this affect Movad? Movad does not collect user data, it's based in Sweden, and none of the Swedish regulations can force VPN providers to secretly collect traffic-related data. We also have no servers, infrastructures, or any staff in India, and of course this reflects for any part of the world. Now, of course, what do they get by over here? So this is where you're going to get a little bit educational, ladies and gentlemen, all right? This is how you can figure out if you are safe with the VPN service you use. So, of course, this is a good graph to tell you 5 eyes, 9 eyes, and 14 eyes. Now, if you have a VPN service that's headquartered in any country we're about to list right now, you're not safe. So, for instance, if you have a VPN service that you bought that's headquartered in the USA, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, then you're fucked. because the country's governments over here can at any moment request or subpoena data which could incriminate you or any user that's on their service. Then, of course, you got Nine Eyes, which are 4 extra countries: Denmark, France, Holland, and Norway, so you're also screwed there. And then, of course, you've got Germany, Belgium, Italy, Sweden, and Spain. Ah, you say, but Muda, Sweden? Isn't that where Movad is? Again, based on how they absolutely utilize no logging policies, which again, their entire service is based around literally not maintaining any form of user data on their servers. So for instance, they don't log traffic, they don't log DNS requests, no logging of connections, no logging of IP addresses, no logging of bandwidth, no logging of account activity except the total simultaneous connections. And generally when it comes to services like this, I would have been wary of Movad VPN until they effectively got raided. Honestly, this raid was probably the greatest thing to happen to them because it just reinforces the fact that they were privacy focused in the first place. So literally how this happened were 6 officers literally raided their offices with search warrants with the data, with basically the intent to take their hard drives and the computers that were hosting these servers as they believed. Literally because they weren't logging anything, they didn't take a single hard drive and they walked off into the sunset, absolutely shaking their fists at a wasted search warrant. Now, to understand, the reason why Movad was raided was because they were so heavily focused on privacy. This was one way for the government and all these agencies to go in because they were under the assumption that there were some serious illegal actions that were taking place. And don't get me wrong, Movad VPN is probably one of the best VPNs if you want to do something illegitimate because of the low logging policy. Look, I'm all for privacy-focused VPNs, but I understand technology like this can be used for very good reasons, like protecting your anonymity, but also it can be used by genuinely evil people to actually do really evil things, whether it be sell illegal products or sell illegal services. Then you've also got other VPNs that were kind of like Movad. So for instance, this one was called VPN Lab, which actually did get shut down, raided by the police over in Europe. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, to understand, these services exist for a very specific clientele. But Movad has been in for 14 years and has pretty much been providing absolute privacy for the average Andy. Now, of course, let's get down to the little update, ladies and gentlemen. What did the Swedish police answer when it came to their protocol request? So, of course, since the events of the search warrant at Movad's office in Gothenburg, we have tried to get a hold of documents and protocols tied to the operations. They wanted to know exactly what the hell was going on. Since then, Movad has requested a search warrant signed by the prosecutor as well as the house search protocol by the police, which of course is obligated to be drawn according to Swedish law. Man, they really know how to play the legal system like a fiddle, dude. So then basically they got a response from the Swedish prosecution authority and the prosecutor in charge, and they told us that the search warrant was made with legal cooperation with Germany, which is even spicier because if you have operated the internet in Germany, you know that the government over there has a really tight grip on the internet. In fact, even Germans can even prevent some of my content or your content from showing up on their shores. I know at least like 4 tweets of mine in like the last 3 years have had like the email from the German government that apparently like my content wasn't good enough. I think I quote tweeted some people and that just wasn't available in German like waters or German land. And of course, when it comes to the Germans, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that that was the one country that wanted to actually put pressure on the Swedes to look into this. So he sent them this letter over here, which, look, I'm not able to read this language. We're just going to go with the translations. The Swedish prosecution authority has received a request for an international judicial cooperation from Germany regarding a case going on in that state. In accordance with this request, on February 17, 2023, I granted a search of the premises of Movad VPN. The decision was implemented on April 18th. So, of course, the German cops, the German state wanted to go in and they thought that, oh shit, we might get something, only for them to realize that this cross-international judicial act wasn't exactly going to pan out the way that they wanted. So during the investigations, which by the way are still ongoing, an IP address was found that led to the VPN service Movad. The direction is not directed towards the VPN service, which the prosecutor writes. Basically, you sent 6 officers So while Sweden is part of a country which does work with other, nation surveillance states, which absolutely love to spy on their users and love to spy on the average person and love to get access to data, which honestly they really shouldn't, basically Movad takes advantage of Swedish law and tries to make the actual privacy-focused browser. So if anything, this has been the best advertising for the company ever. And honestly, nothing makes me more excited and bricked up than to see the goddamn glowies get something given back to them. Now, of course, Movad hasn't just stopped there. I believe this year they even created a brand new browser with the fellows over at the Tor project, which literally you can get into, download, and actually use to get even further privacy on the internet. Now, I'm a Brave user, so I really don't get much of a benefit from Molvad's browser, but hey, if you really wanted a browser that was there with a lot of safeguards and present, not something you'd see on base Chromium, that's for sure, then this is probably the one for you. And, honestly, given in recent times with the Restrict Act, and especially what's been happening with adult sites in Utah right now, VPNs have absolutely gotten, the interest in them has spiked. If you don't know what's been going on in the United States, there's a few laws that have been passing where they're basically creating an age verification check. So in 2022, Louisiana passed a law basically requiring the use of age verification on websites that contain 33% of adult content. So again, this is a website which requires you to actually verify with a user government identification just so you can access it. Now, of course, plenty of other states have actually brought this bill in. California, for instance, had it before the committee actually canceled it. Texas has it where it's passed the Senate. And of course, Utah very recently actually had it signed by the governor. Now, of course, the idea with this law is kind of nice on paper. It's there to prevent a lot of children from accessing adult content, which, again, I really have no problem with. I don't care. At the end of the day, kids are probably going to get access to whatever, but adding a bit of, extra friction to it probably isn't a bad idea. Now, again, that's just looking at it from the nice way. When the government starts collecting identification based on what websites you're going to, you got to imagine that ID is being stored somewhere by the government in not the safest manner imaginable. The government's not good at any form of cybersecurity. Recently, Texas just had a massive cyber attack. I say recently, as of a few hours before I filmed this. Now, of course, even when it comes to the government logging that information, I don't really find it nice that the government maintains logs of people going to certain websites that are over the age of 18. Because laws like this, yes, if they say it's 33% adult content. That's a pretty low threshold to be requiring ID checks. Could you imagine if the government decided to go onto any website that promoted dysentery, promoted anything where not dysentery, that's bad. Any website that promoted sort of like dissent, or any website that, was a little bit critical of the government, something could be applied like this, a law could vaguely be applied. Again, I'd have to read it just to really get the true metrics of it. But the moment you start ID checking and ID gating the internet is the moment that the last bastion of freedom has completely ceased to become the last bastion of freedom. And of course, it's because of this that people in the state of Utah literally were looking up VPN services. According to trend searches at Google, it literally spiked up in the last few days. Utah alone having 100 search interest going on just because of such a law passing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wild world we live in, okay? VPN services are important, and when it comes to the one you want, just do a bit of research. Don't buy from a surveillance country. And at the end of the day, buy what you can afford, anything to obfuscate your IP or just connect to other parts of the world. Don't let Big Brother control your internet traffic. Don't let Big Brother tell you what you can and cannot access. And don't let Big Brother spy on you every day. I'm not saying a VPN is 100% security right there just as soon as you flick it on, but having it as a part of your tool belt alongside privacy-focused browsers and various solutions is the ultimate thing you need in today's day and age. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, the cyberpunk world of tomorrow is actually a reality today. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.